We're good, Marion? YouTube, we're good? We're good on that part of the world? Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm going to call this meeting to order, regular meeting Tuesday, December 7th at 10 a.m. We'll start with a Pledge of Allegiance, and Tom, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? And then after that, our prayer will be given by Dwayne Howard, Associate Pastor of River of Life Church in Globe. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hallelujah, Lord. Father God, I just thank you, Lord, that you've allowed us to once again gather, Lord, that we can just, Lord, conduct the business of Gila County. Lord, I'm thankful that we live in a country that allows us to elect officials to lead us and guide us and direct us, Lord. Father, I pray for every person that's in Gila County today. I pray for protection for their health. I pray protection of their finances. Lord, I pray that you just enrich them, Lord, beyond our imagination. And now, Lord, I pray for our board as they make decisions affecting Gila County. Lord, I pray that they seek your face in every decision that they make, Lord, politics aside, what is best for our county. And I give them to you in the name of our Jesus Christ and Lord. Amen.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, regular agenda item 2A. Information discussion action to authorize the electric submission of an FFY 2021 grant application to the Arizona Department of Homeland Security and approve a subsequent grant award. Subrecipient agreement number 21-AZ DOHS HSGP-210304-01 in the amount of $93,886 to be used for the Gila County Sheriff's Office 800 MHZ radio project from October 1st, 2021 through September 30th, 2022. Tim Scott, good morning. Up there.
Good morning, Mr.
You're on the
Chair,
big screen. Hello.
On February 12th, we submitted a grant request to the Arizona Department of Homeland Security. The purpose of the grant is to build a better radio system for the Gila County Sheriff's Office in conjunction with the Globe Police Department, Globe Fire Department, and Tri-City Fire Department. As you know, the Sheriff's Office is the dispatching agency for all those three, along with the Sheriff's Office. The 800 megahertz radio project, the funding is going to be used to provide the necessary equipment and the tower population of both Payson and Globe for dispatch to be able to operate the 800 megahertz system. It's going to consist of control stations, tower population. We did request 13 mobile radios and portable radios for the Sheriff's Office to use in vehicles and for employees of the office. The 800 megahertz radio system is a needed system for us. It's going to provide some better coverage as it'll penetrate through buildings a little bit better and give the officers an opportunity to be able to talk to dispatch in a little more remote areas while they're in contact with people instead of having to go back out to their vehicles and talk to dispatch. It just provides better radio service for them. It's an ongoing project. We're working through it. We were awarded the 93,000. Let's see, what was it again? 93,886. Once the board has approved this, we will get our quotes refreshed for all the equipment, necessary stuff. Provide that information to the Homeland Security so we can continue on with our project.
Thank you very much. Supervisor Christian, questions, comments?
Thank you, Chairman. And good morning, Officer Scott. How are you?
Good. How are you, sir?
Doing well. Yeah, I can see the real need to have a system like this, but I have one concern. I understand that this system will eliminate the ability for the public to scan the broadcast. Is that true?
Currently, right now, it is the 800 system we will be using is it is encrypted. When the officers talk on it, the repeaters on the mountaintops have several different frequencies that it can use, as it's a voted system. So it'll run through several repeaters. It's all tied in together at Diamond Point, the Diamond Point Tower area, 5 Mile, Hillcrest, Mount Ord, and Signal Peak. So when an officer keys up, they don't necessarily go to one specific frequency. There's a group of frequencies that can be used. So whichever frequency is open and available, it will jump on and communicate with dispatch and vice versa. It is encrypted right now. I think eventually, and I don't know if they make a scanner that will pick it up currently as the it's narrow banded again. So currently we are narrow banded and we're at 12.5 on our VHF spectrum. This one is narrow banded one more time, as that is a federal requirement. It's going to be a federal requirement into the future. So currently it's the system we'll be using is 6 1/4. I think they make scanners that can get it, but currently, yes, it is encrypted.
Okay. So if the public does want to know what law enforcement is transmitting, how do they find that information out, and how much of a delay in that information will there be going forward?
The information on what the Sheriff's Office deals with on a daily basis is put out in a press release every morning. As far as the encryption portion of it, I don't know how that is going to work out throughout the time. I know the Sheriff's a little more in tune with the encryption portion of it, and we can talk with our vendor on that to see how that's going to work and see if there's going to be a need to open it up for the general public to hear it.
Okay, that's my only concern, so thank you for that information.
Supervisor Klein.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, Tim.
Good morning, sir.
So the idea of the public is that's a good question. But also, what about the other agencies like your fire departments and whatnot? Are they going to be able to have the capabilities to communicate with you guys?
Yes, sir. The fire departments, everybody who has the 800 megahertz system that we are going to, they will have the encryption keys, and they will be able to communicate with us and us communicate with them. Currently, Payson PD is on the 800 system. Tonto Apache Tribe is on the 800 system. Glow PD, Glow Fire, Tri-City Fire, and ourselves, once we get everything up and running, we will be able to communicate with them. They will be able to communicate with us better, and it's not going to be an issue.
So going to this narrower band on those radios, is that going to open up more dead spots that you guys deal with?
Currently, hopefully not. We have located a couple of dead areas that we are trying to figure out how to cover that. Overall, the communication is much better when you can talk on a portable from Payson and talk to somebody in Globe on a portable radio. It's light years above what we currently have. So communication countywide for the Sheriff's Office and for the other agencies is going to be improved or enhanced tremendously.
Okay, and then one more question. What about our neighbors like Yavapai County or Coconino County? Are they already on this system?
I don't know if Yavapai County is. I don't believe so. I know Pinal County is on an 800 system. They're on a Motorola system. We are on We're on VHF. We have no plans to terminate our VHF system that we currently have.
Okay.
So we can still communicate with our neighboring counties. If they come to assist us or we go to assist them, we will still have the ability to communicate with them.
Okay, thanks, Tim.
And I have no questions, so if there's no further questions, I'll call for motion.
So, Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to authorize the Sheriff's Office electronic submission of fiscal year 2021 grant application to the Arizona Department of Homeland Security and approve subrecipient agreement number 21-AZ-DOHS-HSGP-210304-01.
I will second that.
Having a motion second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Item was approved. Thank you, Tim. Have a good day.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, 2B, information discussion action to adopt resolution number 21-12-01, which authorizes the execution of amendment number 3 to an intergovernmental agreement, file number IGA/JPA 10-231-I between Gila County and the State of Arizona Department of Transportation for the construction of pedestrian sidewalk along Main Street in Central Heights area. Tom Goodman, good morning.
Good morning, Chairman Humphrey, Supervisors. So let me do a quick background on this project, and then I've got a short PowerPoint presentation that'll kind of summarize everything. The Main Street Sidewalk project has been in progress since 2010. The original IGA was executed back in April of 2011. Amendment number 1 was in March of 2014. And then we're here today for amendment number 3. Amendment number 3 is to revise the project cost, invoice for settlement cost, and revise the scope of work. The scope of work is being revised from a concrete sidewalk with curb and gutter to an asphalt paved pathway, and I'll explain why that happened. So we'll go ahead and go through the PowerPoint presentation. So again, this is amendment number 3 for the IGA. It's in the Central Heights neighborhood, and it's on Main Street from US 60 up to Golden Hill Road. So again, the history is the original IGA was in April of 2011. The number on the far right is the county's funds that have been obligated and in some cases expended. So so the original IGA was $29,706. Amendment number 1, our costs went up to $40,913. Amendment number 2, our costs went up to $45,692. So here we are, amendment number 3, and you can see it's jumped quite a bit to $209,710. The amendment number 3, so looking down at the bottom, is to revise project cost. The costs have gone up over the years, just based on cost estimates. Invoice Gila County for the settlement costs, which we're 100% responsible for, and then revise the scope of work to the asphalt pathway. So what happened on the original construction project? In November of 2016, the design firm issued utility clearance letter, meaning that our utilities were cleared, we were good to construct the project. In July of 2017, the contractor started work. In August of 2017, we had ADOT canceled the contract, and that was due to the magnitude of utility conflicts with CenturyLink. So basically what happened was we thought we were clear of the utility conflicts. We weren't. They found major conflicts with CenturyLink. CenturyLink had identified that there were no conflicts, but there were. So the contract was canceled, not the project, but the contract. So then in March of 2019, ADOT, on our behalf, agreed to a settlement of $150,997 that was paid to the contractor as a settlement. So down at the bottom, you see the contractor bid the project $614,630.21. And that was bid opening back in May of 2017. Project's 0.57 miles in length. So what happened at the escalation meeting with ADOT, I looked into this to see why we settled for such a high amount. So the contractor threatened a lawsuit against ADOT. And so the settlement was reached for $150,997. And that is 100% county. That's 100% on the county. There's no federal match for that. So we've paid some of that to date, but we still owe an additional $55,596. And that will bring us up to, that'll take care of the contract, that'll take care of the final settlement. So then our total estimated funds that we've spent to date are $209,710. Next slide. So moving forward, we still don't have a sidewalk out there. There's really been no work done at all. Again, it's in the Central Heights neighborhood. It's on US 60. Starts at US 60, goes up to Golden Hill Road. 0.57 miles in length. And you can see, I just installed a picture there on the right. So what we are proposing to do to avoid the utility conflicts is to build an asphalt pathway instead of the concrete sidewalk. And there's a picture of what it looks like up there on the upper left. It's basically just looks like a shoulder. So moving forward, we would like to have the design engineer revise the project to a 5-foot asphalt sidewalk or pathway. We think this will give us the pedestrian safety. There is a lot of traffic on this main street. Pedestrians, quite a few pedestrians use this, and there's currently no existing path for pedestrians. What we would like to do is advertise this project in the spring of 2022. Again, ADOT will administer the project for us. And we're currently looking at combining this with another sidewalk project in this area, the Golden Hill project. So it'll be those two projects will be combined into one project. And so our recommendation, the Public Works Director recommends that Gila County Board of Supervisors adopt Resolution 21-11-01, approving Amendment Number 3 for the IGA. And that would be for our estimated cost of $55,596. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Supervisor Christensen.
Oh, thanks for always being first. So I haven't heard about this project. So we've spent money and don't have any product to show for it. And so we're going to start it up again. And right now what you're asking for is the remaining for a settlement.
Yes, sir.
55,000 and something to bring us up to a total of 210 something, so that we can start over. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay. So why is it that you need approval from us to spend the additional 55,000 that I would have thought we have already agreed to do?
Yeah, we're currently out of money. We have no money left in this project, so we would need to encumber the additional $55,000 to get us back to pay off that part of the settlement, and then that'll get us back to where we're ready to move forward with the design. There's about $8,000 for the redesign from the consulting firm, and then whatever estimate the asphalt pathway comes in at, then we be responsible for about 6% of that.
6% of the future project.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. I think I have that then. Thank you.
Okay. Supervisor Klein.
So we came in 2016, 2017, and I was sitting here trying to jog my memory on this project, and I don't remember it either. And it kind of surprises me. We're into it for over $200,000, and we don't have anything on the ground. And so I can't help but wonder, we bombed out on the first go-around. Why in the hell are we looking at going for a second? You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir, I do.
And you know, and yeah, we're in with the state, but the settlement cost is coming from us on this contract specifically. which came down to the fact somebody didn't do their homework the first go around. I just don't know. I don't know why we would want to jump in there and do that again. I think there's a point of that we have to be accountable, and we obviously weren't on this project to begin with.
Correct. So here's the problem. If we decide to cancel the project, just cancel the project, we would have to pay back all of the federal aid money that has been spent since 2010, and that is for design and for construction. That alone would be over $200,000.
So that put us up to $500,000 into this project with nothing on the ground.
Correct. If we move forward with the asphalt pathway, we will have to come up with the $55,000 that we're asking for now, and we have to pay that to ADOT. And then we would be responsible for another 6% of what the new estimate comes in at. So, in our estimate, the asphalt pathway is going to come in quite a bit less than a concrete sidewalk.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say it came in at $500,000. We owe about 6% of that, so that's about $30,000 to get the project finished.
And so the money would come out of the excise fund.
Yes,
Right,
sir. All the
tax
money
fund.
is transportation excise. Mm-hmm. So moving forward, we're going to spend a lot less if we move forward. If we cancel the project, it's going to be very expensive.
It's amazing to me. I can't help it. I see what you're saying. I don't like it, but I understand what you're saying. And so what guarantees are you going to be able to give us standing here in front of us today that this isn't going to happen again and we're going to be able to pull something out of the hat and get it done?
So I spoke to the design firm about, why did this happen? How, you gave us a utility clearance letter. You said all the utilities were cleared. And I spoke to them, and I did a lot of research myself on this. And it looks like they contacted all the utility companies. And CenturyLink, they gave the utility clearance letter. I read it. It said all the utilities were clear for the project. And come to find out, when the contractor got out there and got started, CenturyLink had a line that was about 30 inches deep. And our sidewalk, because we had a lot of retaining walls, was going 36 to 48 inches deep. And this was pretty much along the entire length of the project, 0.57 miles. So there was really nothing that ADOT could do. That's why they just had to cancel the contract. So moving forward, the asphalt pathway will not have retaining walls. It'll just be basically a shoulder. It probably is going to go about 12 inches deep. And we will have to get a new utility clearance letter. What we did at the city of Phoenix when I worked there is we would do all this, get all these utility clearance letters, but then we went one extra step. We would have the design engineer do their own utility potholing, and this was required. It costs more up front, but sometimes in the long run it can save you. And this is a good example of that.
So Tom, with that in mind, and I'm asking questions because this is just to me, it's amazing. But why didn't we hold CenturyLink accountable for that line and make them put it deeper so we could go on with our project? Why didn't we go there?
That I don't have any information.
Or why didn't we put it on their shoulders to pay these settlement costs and everything? When people give us bad information, somewhere along the way, we should have some kind of leverage to hold them accountable.
Correct.
I mean, that's just the way it works. We're held accountable,
Right.
right?
No, I agree with you, and I really don't know why. I'm sure there was some discussion about holding companies accountable, but as far as I know, nothing was done.
Could have been a different board.
Chairman, if I could offer just a few thoughts. The contracts that, when you deal with ADOT, they agree to a cost, and federal funds as well. And we got the bridge coming up, and then we'll have NRCS project coming up. And we really need to do our homework on trying to estimate what the cost is going to be, and the design needs to match the cost, or else we come to the board at that point, at the design point, and make a decision. Do you want to accept an improved design, or don't you? And we make decisions and we move forward. This has been going on a long time, long before Tom. Tom and Steve have been working with ADOT lately so that we do have that voice in the agreement that we signed in 2010. it's very clear, we pay for the additional cost. And maybe we weren't as forceful in the negotiation of the settlement. There would have been a settlement. We decide on a settlement or they sue us, one or the other, okay? ADOT would probably say, we don't want to get sued. They're the ones holding the contract. So then we negotiate, and we could have perhaps negotiated better. I don't know. I wasn't there. But bottom line, the settlement is what the settlement was, and now we're left holding the bag, and that's unfortunate. So I think what Tom is doing is he's attending all the meetings, the bridge meetings, NRCS meetings. Steve is asking his team to help him with assigning a person to every NRCS project. We got over $13 million of NRCS projects coming down the pike. We got a $24 million bridge. We've got these other smaller projects. We just need to do it as professional. Now, can we guarantee we're not going to come back? We don't know what the cost is yet. We may come back because the cost may exceed whatever we thought. And so that's where the alternative costing and designs come in, where we put in alternatives. It could have been a concrete sidewalk, an asphalt sidewalk. Now you're asking for 2 engineering designs, so that may be an additional cost. So we need to be clever about how we structure alternatives to give us an opportunity at the end. Do we want to do everything we had planned, or do we do part of what we had planned? And make decisions. But there's no guarantee that we're not going to come back. Tom is doing everything to avoid coming back. We like to deliver on target. And right now, that's what he's pursuing. He's trying to bring in a sidewalk that's asphalt to get us back into the original scope of work in terms of cost.
And I appreciate that, Homer. I do. And you know, unfortunately, Tom's the one standing on the podium, so you're going to get the hard questions from me. That's just the way it is. But these old projects are tough because none of us three were here. A lot of us in this room may not have been here. So we do have to deal with it. And I understand what you're saying. This is the least or the best of the worst scenario. And so, but going forward in this, because we deal with these CenturyLink, Sparklight, whoever it is, we deal a lot with these folks on internet service lines. Every one of our roads that we have, that we maintain, has issues with lines and the blue staking, and we have issues with it. So, but when it comes to something of this magnitude, it's like if they give us a report that says we're clear, we're good to go, and the next thing you know, we're paying out all this money, that just doesn't add up to me. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, we hear you loud and clear, and it is a problem for us, and maybe it's something for a work session. We're trying to work on a project right now where a water company is just totally ignoring us. And we've gone to our county attorney, we've gone to the Corporation Commission, we've gone to them directly, we've done everything we can to try to clear it up. And one of the suggestions that Tom has for the team is our projects, we need to start thinking that when we do projects, we're going to do some we're going to have a cost of doing business that includes the potholing to find out, to confirm what the utility company is telling us, because we were doing that, I think, chip seal project up in one of the northern communities, and we ran across a water line. It was our work. The blue staking didn't find it. Okay, so there is a lot of effort that we need to put into the utilities, and the utilities, they're at ground level here in Gila County. It's problematic.
Yeah, it is.
And we need to get really clever about utilities, and maybe a work session to talk about, the utilities don't feel like we have an authority. If we have the right of way before the utility was put in, they need to conform with the depths that they're supposed to put the utility line in. If they own the right of way before we put the road in, then we pay for that. Okay. So, and normally we've had the road and the utility came second. And they should perform the work of lowering the utilities, meeting our standard before we start the work. But it's a challenge each and every time, and this is how we're trying to resolve this one.
Thank you, Homer. That's all, Mr. Chair.
Okay, my turn. You've been asked most of the tough ones. I would guess if we go ahead with an asphalt walkway, who's maintaining that?
That would be Well, Gila County would maintain our part, and then the part that's in the, in Globe, that would be maintained by City of Globe.
Okay. And this walkway is going in the same place that our sidewalk did?
Pretty close. The concrete sidewalk had curb and gutter, and then the 5-foot sidewalk. And this, so the asphalt pathway is just we're gonna saw cut at 12 feet off the center line of the existing road, and then install the 5-foot. So we'll just saw cut 5 feet, saw cut at 12 feet, remove any debris, get the ground prepped, and then install the 5-foot pathway.
Okay. Yeah, there's just an awful lot of questions that can't be answered because there was a different board and things of that nature in this project. And so I would hope that in the future, if we run into these issues, that we'd have our attorney on our side and perhaps a board to make decisions to make people responsible for what they tell us. And so these clearance letters and things of that nature going forward in this matter, is there going to be a contract that if there's something misread that they're going to be liable for it, not us? I mean, here we're spending a lot of money potholing to find out where they're telling us that they don't have utilities. Mm-hmm. That seems kind of backwards to me. It seems like if they tell us they have no utilities or the utilities are clear, and if they're not, that's their fault, not ours. And why should we spend money to make sure that they're not lying to us before we go forward with a project? So are we going to do potholing for this sidewalk project or walkway project?
It's not in the current contract.
Okay.
To do.
But could some verbiage protecting us from the utility people? I guess that's a question for our attorney. I don't know that if we do run into a utility deal, that it's a utility deal, not ours.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in my opinion, when a utility company gives you a utility clearance letter and they've seen the plans, they've been involved with the design, they typically have reviewed 30, 60, 90% plans during design. They know where they know what type of work is going to be done. They know what depth it's going to be at. Typically, you hold conferences, meetings with the utility companies on top of their reviews. So after you get their reviews back at 30, 60, 90, then you hold a meeting with them as well. And you sit down and talk it through. You do everything you can to make sure your conflicts are clear. And then, like I said, the one extra step, which costs more money, is have the design engineer go out and do his own utility potholing. But you pay more for that.
You do? I guess input from our attorney that should the utility companies be responsible for their lack of letting us know what's real and what's Memorex, I guess.
It would absolutely fall down to the verbiage in the contract, and at this point it would be whether they're willing to make that amendment or not, because currently it's not in there.
Okay. It just seemed to me a contract would be easier than spending the money to pothole. Because then you'd have to pothole everything, because the one thing you didn't pothole or the one place you didn't pothole, now you're responsible and paid for all the potholing as well. But okay, I guess we've beat this up enough. I'm finished with questions. I think this is a needed project for that area because there's an awful lot of bike traffic, a lot of walk traffic. And in some places, there's no place for them to walk other than inside the road. And so I think it's a necessary. I think when it was originally done, it was necessary. I think the paved sidewalk would have been a great thing. I think our asphalt, we're going to have some maintenance involved, but it's still going to protect the people and give them a safe place to walk. And so if there's no further questions, I'm going to call for a motion.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, one more clarification, if it'd be all right with Mr. Goodman. if we do move to vote for this resolution, the only financial impact in that vote will be the $55,000 and change that was mentioned earlier and does not commit us to the 6% future project yet.
Yes, sir, that's correct. So what we're voting on today is the $55,596. If that's approved, ADOT would immediately bill us for half of that, $27,798, and then they would bill for the second half after July 1st of 2022. They'll bill us for the second amount.
Okay. Thank you. I move to adopt resolution number 21-12-01.
I'll second it.
Having a motion second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Item was approved unanimously. Thank you very much, and you got two more to go. So here we go. Regular agenda item 2C, information discussion action to award professional services contract number 062321 to Mountain Standard Incorporated in the amount of $67,800 plus an owner contingency of 25% for the contract total $84,750 to review and rewrite Gila County Grade and Drain Ordinance number 08-01 and Gila County Right-of-Way Ordinance number 02-01. Tom Goodman again.
Thank you, Supervisors. So I'll go through this, and I believe in Payson we have the head engineer and part owner of the company MSI, Andy Romance, I believe, is also available to answer questions if you have questions for him. On September 7th, 2021, the Board of Supervisors authorized newspaper advertisement for statement of qualifications for rewrite of two of our ordinances, and that was for the rewrite of the right-of-way ordinance and the grading and drainage ordinance. So we evaluated the qualifications that were advertised, and we selected MSI, Mountain Standard Inc., out of Payson as the best firm. So moving forward, if we hire a consultant to update our the two Gila County ordinances that we're speaking about, and we've had a lot of discussions at the office regarding these two ordinances, and we feel it's been quite a while that they've been needed to be upgraded. We felt, given the amount of effort that's required, that we would like to use an outside consulting engineer for this. And again, we would like to use MSI. So MSI gave us a cost proposal for both ordinances of $67,800. And then we included a 25% contingency for a contract total of $84,750. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Supervisor Christensen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Goodman. And we did have a discussion about this, so I think I feel a little more informed. If I did the math correctly, that means the contingency for Gila County, $16,950.
Yes, sir.
And when you say contingency, does that mean that may be what we spend, or possibly what we spend, or the maximum amount we would spend?
That would be the maximum amount we would spend. That's owner's contingency. It's not available to the design firm unless we specifically direct them to do some additional work that wasn't in the original scope. Then we would direct them to do that additional work and stay within that amount of money.
So the $67,800 is a grant. That's grant money, or where?
So this is yes, it's grant money, and we are responsible for 25% of that. So it would be, let's see.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
It's not grant money. This is coming from general fund, HERF funding.
HERF, okay.
And the reason for a contingency, because I'm the one that coached the team to a contingency, is we're going to have a series of public meetings. And we gave the consultant a scope of work that said, we want you to do this in the ordinance, with some leeways already there. And, but every time we have a public meeting, the scope may change, and we may want to add things. And we just wanted that contingency there available to us in the event we add additional scope to the work. We don't know, if we knew then that what the scope was, we would have added it to it, but we don't know what that scope may be as a result of the public meetings, and that's the reason for the contingency. It is our desire, and our effort will focus on trying not to spend that contingency, trying to put together an ordinance within the scope of work that we outlined, and hopefully the public meetings support that scope was complete.
Okay, and so in my discussion with Tom Homero, he indicated that this is likely a project of such magnitude that it would be best to have it done by a consultant rather than something internally. Do you agree with that? This is not something we could do internally very well?
There's a couple of thoughts that go through my mind, okay? One of them is we should learn how to do our own ordinances, okay? But today is not the right time to learn that. Today we have too many projects coming down the horizon, some of them with time constraints. Both the bridge and NRCS is going to consume this staff to the nth degree in the next 12 months. Just those things alone. We had hired, Curtis Ward had been a surveyor. He moved up to engineer. Curtis Ward just turned in his retirement. We lost one of our technical persons. And I think that the grading and drainage ordinance is so out of time, so incomplete, and so many errors, written in 2010. But even in, I was just looking at it right now, and looking at the drainage plan, because that's what drives me to try to fix this ordinance. It doesn't tell a person what's to be included in the drainage plan. And so it creates problems up at Pine Ice. It creates problems out here on Russell Gulch. We've had two areas where folks are saying, what is it that I need to do? And it's not in black and white. And we need to avoid that debate at the get-go. And so part of looking for an engineer, it's not just an engineer, it's an engineer that has experience in putting together these drainage plans. That was the purpose of the request for proposal. And so the individual that they have selected begun his career writing these ordinances with folks that were expert. Later on, they were the experts of the flood control district in Maricopa County. So he brings with him a very good resume that he can do an excellent job at this. Do it in a quickly, and give us a package that then in the future we can maintain and do ourselves.
Okay, thank you for that. I think I understand the argument, and so I think it would be prudent for us to consider doing this ourselves in the future, but we have to have a plan to get there. So, because that's a lot of money to spend, and anyway, thank you.
Supervisor Klein.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Homer, you may want to come back, but so I understand what you're saying about the department being overwhelmed by these larger projects. I get that, and we do have big projects on the board. I'm adamant that we need to be drafting our own policies and tending to our own policies. When it comes to your department, Public Works, nobody knows the issues in those policies better than you guys, and also us, because when it comes to bad policy, we get the calls. We're the ones that's calling Homero, trying to work on things and figure things out and wade our way through it. So I've sat here for 5 years, and we consult and we contract and we do this and we do that, to the point where I really have to sit back in my chair and wonder just what are we doing here? We have departments. We fill positions. Sometimes we can't. It takes a while, but we get them filled. And so everybody's in place. And when it comes to departments, That's what you guys deal with, is your policies. That's what's in front of you every day. So to me, I'm not criticizing the company that is out there to do this work at all. I'm sure they're quite capable of doing work like this, but I can't help but think in our own department, we can't do a better job of it. Now, I understand what Homer's saying about the having time to do things. Sometimes getting in a hurry can bite you in the hip pockets too. It doesn't always work out the way you think. And so, just where do you draw that line? I really don't know, but I will tell you straight up that I am against having somebody come in here and do our policies on grading and drainage.
So am I. So am I. I really believe that we need to start doing that. And as a matter of fact, the rural addressing is being written in-house, and we need to look at floodplain ordinance, and we need to do that one in-house as well. Drainage continues to be a challenge for Gila County. We have a very unique county here. I worked in Navajo County as a floodplain administrator, and you'd be surprised how much flatter Navajo County is than Gila County. It's amazing. Over here, our communities are built around drainage ways, almost all of them. And the lots that we have, you do something with one of these lots that's on a sloped area, and it's going to contribute a problem to somebody downstream. And again, I think there's a sense of urgency, and we need to be, we're going to be at the public meetings, of course, but we need to be touching base with a consultant that prepares an ordinance for us, whether it's now or later or whenever. We need to be at their side all the time, because you're right. It needs to feel like our ordinance when it's done, and this is what we're trying to do. One of the things, I had a discussion with the consultant, and we talked about customer service and to work on an ordinance that minimizes the effort, or actually requires no permit if you do certain things, like put a residential structure up. And that the drainage plan ought to apply only to more complex projects. And so, of course, the individual has practiced this in the past, this firm, and that's part of our sharing with them enough information that it becomes our ordinance in the end. And there's no doubt, if the consultant writes the ordinance, we need to feel like it's ours when it's all said and done. And Tom and the rest of the team, not just Tom, but there needs to be a handful of folks, floodplain, project managers, the surveyor, all of them need to be at the table when we review the ordinance, the many times that we're going to review that ordinance. But again, we feel we've been talking about this since I got here, about rewriting this ordinance. Actually, I sat with Dart. I tried to find time to sit with him. We did it for a couple of Mondays, and maybe looked at the first page and talked about an outline, and that's as far as we got. And if I felt like we could do it, I'd be pushing the team to let's do it. I just feel that it's outside of our ability to do it at this point in time, and I do think it needs to be done.
So Homer, so if I change my mind and I go with you on a consultant, theoretically, and we put this together, where or when are we going to have the work session or whatever it is in front of us as a board to look at this? I mean, I don't want to just have somebody walk up here one day and hand me a packet of papers and say, here's the changes. I'm done with that. And so we really need that time. And really, either way, whether it's in-house or out-of-house, it doesn't matter. We need that time for all of us to be involved in these ordinances. I'll be quite honest with you, drainage and grading is not my favoriteest deal. And so I really want to be a part or have a lot to say in my opinions on how this is going to go together and what we're going to be dealing with in the future.
It's a good point. The chairman and Supervisor Klein, the scope of work includes a work session. It includes coming back to the presentation. It includes the public meetings. And we need to have that work session probably when an outline is complete with a little bit of of words added to the outline. Early on in the process, we need to have that initial work session to talk to the board about here is what it's going to look like. And if need be, we can add another work session to our schedule. But we need to come to the board early on. I think especially for this one, grading and drainage. You need to listen to what we're proposing and offer the input to make sure that we end up with the right package. So we'll bring it to you early on, sometime after an outline is complete.
So what you said about Gila County being very unique in our topography, basically, and the fact that, everybody lives on a hill next to a big creek, is very true. So when you throw out there, these folks will be looking at other counties and what they have in their drainage and grading policies, yada, yada, yada. There's a lot of that just may not pertain to us. Am I on the right page with that?
Yes and no. We can't model ourselves after any one county. We can learn and speed up the work by seeing what others have done. But in the end, we need to look at what do we have, what's written down now, and what do we want. And I think once we decide what we want, because we have so many models to choose from, the writing can be simplified by looking at how other counties have included in their different sections. The grading and drainage are really two ordinances. We want it to be one for drainage, one for grading, all in the same ordinance. But we want them to talk about them separately for the most part. And it's because grading creates a different flow pattern that you then have a drainage ordinance usually associated with the grading portion. But a well-written grading and drainage ordinance can be used to help you develop an outline for what's right for Gila County. And that would be the only benefit of looking at what the other counties are doing. But we know that Gila County is special, and we want to make sure we in our writing of the ordinance that we meet the uniqueness of our county.
Thank you, Homer.
Okay, I appreciate you guys looking into some of our ordinances. One of my big thing is we're working on ordinances that were written a long time ago that don't work today. So I appreciate the fact that we have worked on changing ordinances, and sometime if we need help, I understand that as long as we get a lot of our own input in it, because everything has got its own uniqueness and every county does as well. So I believe that we do have ordinances that need to change. I do believe that we have ordinances that create issues for us and staff. And so I appreciate your time, energy, and effort in working to change these, because I understand also, too, that your job would be a whole lot easier if you didn't worry about ordinances, just keeping track of what goes on with our old ordinances and the problems that they create. So I appreciate your extra input in working to change ordinances. And if that is no more questions or comments, I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to award the professional services contract number 062321 to Mountain Standard Inc. in the amount of $67,800 plus an owner contingency of 25% for a contract total of $84,750.
I will second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Item was approved by Supervisor Humphrey, Supervisor Christensen, not approved by Supervisor Klein. Okay, we are moving on to regular agenda item 2D. Information, discussion, action to authorize the chairman's signature on the necessary documents required by the National Resources Conservation Service to receive funding through the Emergency Watershed Protection Program in the amount of $930,248.75. Again, Tom Goodman.
Thank you, Supervisors. The bushfire was a wildfire that began on June 13th, 2020, and was contained on July 6th, 2020. The fire burned 193,455 acres in the Tonto National Forest. Fire burned in the mountains west of Tonto Basin, causing severe damage. The potential for flooding increased significantly, and as a result, numerous areas of Tonto Basin are now at risk from flooding during rainfall events. Gila County Public Works has been working with J.E. Fuller and NRCS, and we've identified 3 projects that meet the criteria for funding through the Emergency Watershed Protection Program. The projects are Tonto Creek Trail Landing Wash, Lazy JR RV Park, and Sycamore Creek near Mattis Hill Ranch. The combined cost of the 3 projects is $1,240,331. The program requires a 25% match from the project sponsor, which is Gila County. The county's match is $310,082.75. Gila County has submitted the projects to NRCS for funding. NRCS has approved the projects in the amount of $930,248.25. And again, as I mentioned, Gila County is responsible for 25%, which is $310,082.75. So Gila County asked DEMA, DFFM, Department of Emergency Management and Military Affairs, and the Department of Fire and Forestry Management to finance the county's match. Both of those agencies have agreed to fund that match. So what I would like to recommend is that we move forward with these funding programs, and we will have a 220-day window once they are approved. And so the time begins when NRCS receives the funds in their Arizona office. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Tom. Supervisor Christensen.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Goodman. Is this similar to one that we did before, or think it's very similar to the one we did before, is it not? I don't remember the names of these projects on the previous one, but we did get a match from DEMA and that to match all of the money, or is this the same one? I thought we already approved this.
As far as I know, we have not approved this one.
Mr. Chairman and Supervisor Christensen, what you first approved was Telegraph Fire. NRCS decided to give us a grant on 4 projects that have to do with the Telegraph Fire, with projects around the area like Russell Gulch and Bloody Tanks and 2 others. This has to do with the bushfire, and there's 3 projects associated. This is a little bit smaller. In total, they add up to about $1.2 million. NRCS is sponsoring the amount that's shown on the board item, and the rest would be the 25% match coming from DEMA.
Okay, so our cost is, we have no cost from the county on
Correct.
this? Okay, thank you. That's all.
Supervisor Klein.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, Tom, this is good. I'm glad to see us getting some money from NRCS and be able to work on these.
Yes, sir.
And also, I'm really happy that DFM is joining in there to help us with that match. There's still a lot to be said from the government standpoint, from the feds, but we'll deal with that. But it's good to see that we're finally going to get some money to put on the ground, help those folks out. So thank you.
Yes, sir. It's a good deal.
Yeah, and I thank you very much, because these 7 projects are going to consume a lot of our staff, and because we've got 220 days and they're all going to start about the same time. So I guess we've divvied these projects out and everybody gets their own horse. But it's made a difference in what we're able to do otherwise. And so I appreciate the fact that you're reaching out for these, because a long time for the bushfire, we didn't get along with NRCS very well. So it seems like after the Telegraph fire, they've been a lot easier to work with and helping us with projects. It's just that I wish we could have done 3 of them last year, and and have the other 4 to do, but we're getting them all at once. So my hat's off to you and staff for trying to work through these 7 projects all at the same time. Even though they're not costing us anything in money, they're costing us a lot because all of our engineers, staff, Homero, everybody is going to be unavailable for 220 days trying to get these projects done.
Yes, sir.
So I thank you very much, and I wish you all the luck in the world with these projects, and if there's anything I can do, let me know. And if there's no further questions, I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I will move to authorize the chairman's signature on the necessary documents required by the Natural Resource Conservation Service to receive funding through the Emergency Watershed Protection Program in the amount of $930,248.75.
And Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Item was approved. Tom, thank you very much for your time today. Okay, moving on to regular agenda item 2E. Information, discussion, action to modify the dollar-day dump fee from a flat $1 per load to $1 for the first 1,000 pounds and the existing fee for anything over 1,000 pounds per customer, excluding commercial haulers that are charged regular landfill rates beginning January 1st, 2022. Sharon Winters, good morning.
Good morning, Chairman Humphrey and members of the board. We have held 31 dollar-day events, so we have collected over 7,000 pounds in those events, and almost 18,000 people have been through our gate. But we're here today to see if we can modify this a little bit. More than 3/4 of our people bring us a small amount and under the 1,000 pounds, and we are here to talk about the ones who bring in huge loads that we'd like to change the rules a little bit so that we can keep on with these events.
Okay, thank you. Supervisor Christensen.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Sharon. When you said 7,000, did you mean tons?
Of course I did. I'm
Okay.
sorry. Thank you.
7,000 tons, that's a lot, yeah. So I don't have any objection to this modification. Thank you.
Thank you.
Supervisor Klein.
Welcome back, Sharon.
Thank you. Never
Yeah.
say never. Here I am again.
Retirement just wasn't what's cut out to be, huh?
I loved retirement, but I'm happy to be here also.
We're glad to see you. Yeah, I don't have any problems. And I know that, on these dollar dump days, you guys are pretty well overwhelmed a lot of times because of the amount of people and whatnot. So if we can still keep it within reason to help folks be able to get rid of a bunch of their stuff, but change it to where the ones that are badly taking advantage of it. And I don't know that that's the right terminology to use, because any trash we can throw in the dump is good, right? It gets it off the streets and out of our houses. So, but yeah, I don't have any problems with this at all. And thanks for coming back to hold down the fort.
Thank you.
Okay, excluding commercial haulers that are charged regular landfill rates. How are you going to distinguish the difference between commercial haulers and residential haulers?
All we can do is go by the size of their vehicles, the advertising on their vehicles. Obviously, you've got a great big dump truck. That kind of gives you the first clue. They often take off their advertising and come in anyway. We just do the best we can, maybe to decide on the material. If it's all roofing, we kind of figure that's commercial.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, that's how you're going to designate who's commercial and who's not commercial. And the commercials are not going to get the first 1,000 pounds for $1. Commercials are going to get hit the full commercial amount.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. I guess is staff ready to deal with that, to tell them that, hey, you're commercial, you don't get the first 1,000 pounds free, here you go, and an argument in the line, because also too, we're supposed to be taking identification to be sure that they're not from Pinell or Pima County or whatever other county they care to come up here for $1 for. Which I've got a lot of slack that nobody's carding anybody, so anybody from any county comes and goes. So I have no problem with 1,000 pounds. It's for the public. It's not for the commercial people, but it never has been for the commercial people, and it's for the people of Gila County. And so, you know, I don't have a problem with 1,000 pounds because I think 1,000 pounds will help somebody clean it up. Their yards and stuff. I'm just wondering, we haven't had a whole lot of monitoring going on in the past, so I'm looking at the future. What problems are you going to create for the person in the scale house to say, oops, you're commercial, so we're charging your account, or when they leave, you owe us $45.
It's going to slow down the line. I realize that. What we're going to do is when the waste comes up on the scale, as the scale house person looks at the weight and they see that it's gone over the 1,000 pounds, we are going to have to run 2 tickets. First 1,000 pounds and charge the $1, and then the second ticket for the difference.
Okay, that's for residents, not commercial.
Well,
Because
we
you say
charge
commercial, you're
resident-
charging them
Our
full.
commercials, we charge full price all the time, and most of them are great. Copper State comes in during our dollar days, and we have no problem with them,
Okay.
and they are great with us.
Okay. And then I had a question too. Current landfill rates are $45.51 per ton for residential household trash, or $53.12 for all other waste. What's all other waste?
That would, okay, what we call household is pretty much what you can stuff in a kitchen trash bag. That's easy for our compactor to work with. It's easy for us to cover, but all other
Okay,
waste.
but isn't that more of your commercial people that are
Right.
bringing household garbage?
Yes, that is correct. But our customers bring in a lot of, mom and dads come in a lot all the time with their
Okay.
kitchen trash. And that's how we distinguish. All other debris would be furniture, construction debris,
Okay. Refrigerators, freezers, that kind of
correct
stuff?
appliances.
Okay. All right. Okay, yeah, I just realized that, you know, I mean, I'm grateful for Dollar Dump Day. I worked hard to get it started. I think it helps our public a lot. And I've talked to, like, Michelle Yurkovich from the City of Globe, and she says it's helped them clean up a lot of properties. Talked to the Forest Service, they see a lot less garbage. So I think it's great to help our constituents clean their places up or spring clean. And I agree, it's against the commercial. So the 2-ticket deal, are you going to be equipped by January 1st to do the 2-ticket deal?
It's just a matter of training. Yes, absolutely.
Okay,
we
but
will.
you have the computer and things in
Yes.
the deal to do the
Yes, we can do this.
double tickets, so if someone comes in with 1,500 pounds, they'll be charged $1 for the 1,000 pounds, and then whatever X division of whatever garbage they have for the 500.
Yes, that would be correct. That would be about an
Okay.
$8 ticket.
Okay, I just hope that doesn't create more confusion for you than what we have now, but I guess if it does, you'll be back before the board. So that's all I have, and I'll call for a motion.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to modify the Dollar Dump Day fee from a flat $1 per load to $1 for the first 1,000 pounds. And the existing fee for anything over 1,000 pounds per customer, excluding commercial haulers that are charged regular landfill rates beginning January 1st, 2022.
Second?
Having a motion second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Item was approved unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to 2F, information discussion action to approve a physical agent grant agreement among Auction Indian Community and Gila County and Hell's Gate Fire District in the amount of $50,440.50 for the district to purchase a new 4x4 SUV vehicle that will be used to respond to emergencies. Mary Springer, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members, supervisors. I believe Chief Maury Morris from Hell's Gate Fire is in the Payson. I see him right there. So I'd like to turn the time over to Maury so he can talk about this grant.
Good morning. You're on.
Okay, thank you very much. As you are aware of, that back in May, we came to the Board of Supervisors requesting approval to approve a Prop 202 grant application to the Ak-Chin Indian community. That was to be able to purchase, or actually to consider them giving grant funding for a 4x4 or an all-wheel drive SUV vehicles to replace worn-out vehicles or a worn-out vehicle. On November 1st, 2021, we were notified by the Ak-Chin community that we were successful in our grant. And so now we are coming to the board asking for approval to accept the money so that we can go forward in purchasing this vehicle.
Okay, thank you very much. Supervisor Christensen, question, comments?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mary. I have no questions.
Supervisor Klein?
Neither do I, so thanks for doing this, you guys.
Yeah, I think it's great that we're able to be a pass-through to help a lot of these first responders with the connection between the some of these casinos and what they're able to do. So I thank you very much, and I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move to approve a fiscal agent/grant agreement among Ak-Chin Indian Community and Gila County and the Hell's Gate Fire Department District in the amount of $50,440.50.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Item was approved
Thank you.
unanimously.
Thank you,
Moving
Maury,
on.
for coming in today.
Yeah,
Thank you, Mary. Appreciate it. Appreciate
Thank
the
you
board.
very much. Okay, moving on to 2G, information, discussion, action to accept a report from the assessor's office regarding a petition signed by owner of property in the Miami Garden area of the Tri-City Regional Sanitation District, requesting to be de-annexed from the boundaries of the Tri-City Sanitation District and validate that there are 26 qualified signatures on the petition of 28 signatures that were presented. Marion Shepherd.
Thank you, Chairman Humphrey and board members. On November 9th of this year, Michael Harper, who is the attorney for the district, hand-delivered a petition to my office that was signed by property owners residing in the Miami Gardens area of this district. They are requesting to be de-annexed from the district. So part of the statutory process per ARS 48-262 states that the Board of Supervisors must determine the validity of the petitions presented. So what I did was similar to when you had the owners, the people living in the Vertical Heights area of this district request to be de-annexed. I sent the petitions over to the assessor's office, and they verified that those that signed the petitions are the owners of property for those that signed. And of the 28 signatures, 26 were not owners that signed the petition, so that is what I would return to Mr. Harper on behalf of the district, the results.
Okay, thank you very much. Supervisor Christensen, questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Marion, did I hear you say that 26 were not owners?
No, 26 were, there were 28 property owners that signed the petition. Of the 28 that signed, 26 were qualified, 2 were not.
Okay, and so why are they wanting to be de-annexed?
Well, there's a lot of reasons.
Oh, I don't need to know that information, probably.
Yeah, well, that's okay. If I can give you one, they are already serviced by Miami Sewer District.
Oh, I see.
When Miami started their own sewer district, they reached out and grabbed the hospital and Miami Gardens, but they choose to leave everybody else out of their sewer system, which is why Tri-City Sanitation is trying to get its own going to get others, and I'll be happy to give you a rundown on that at some point in time. This isn't the time or place, but thank you, Marion. Okay. Supervisor Christensen, further questions?
No, that's all. Thank you.
Okay. Supervisor Klein.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good with this.
And yeah, I'll call for a motion on the petitions.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to accept the report from the Assessor's Office regarding a petition signed by owners of property in the Miami Gardens area of the Tri-City Regional Sanitary District, TRSD, requesting to be de-annexed from the boundaries of the TRSD and validate that there are 26 qualified signatures on the petition of 28 signatures that were presented.
I will second.
Having a motion and a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Item was approved unanimously. Thank you, Marion. Moving on to 2H, information discussion action to approve a list prepared by the county manager of board member assignments to local, regional, and national board committees and organizations for the 2022, for the year 2022. Mr. Menlo, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Thank you for a moment to review our committee assignments that we have with the board and to have a discussion of representation for the county at these different groups. First of all, we have a national coalitions and legislative policy groups. Identified are the National Association of Counties, National NACO Western Interstate Region, NACO Transportation Committee, and NACO Public Lands Committee. Now, some of these boards, of first two in particular, the entire Board of Supervisors is on the board of directors for these organizations or board of directors, such as National Association of Counties and the Western Interstate Region. So all three members of the board can, and according to needs that are perceived, be able to attend and be involved in all these different boards and organizations. I wanted to designate a primary for certain ones where all three board members are on the board of directors for those organizations, and the primary person we look for staff to be able to work with the Board of Supervisors, provide whatever support is needed in those organizations, and to be able to work on information together, put some thought and sense to some of the things that come out of these organizations. And we will work with all three board members as they attend these meetings and as you attend these meetings and participate in them. But want to make sure that we have at least one member of the board that is in attendance that's representing Gila County, mostly in person now that we can attend in person, so that Gila County is, as we say, at the table, rather than being served up as dinner. So those, then the second group, regional coalitions of legislative policy groups. I'll go back and say that in looking at the time commitment for each of these is why I wanted to make a recommendation for these of how much time it takes to commit of your time, and because you have to balance being out with your constituents and the other things that you do. And because of that, I wanted to break things up just a little bit different than they were for this current calendar year. You can see the spread for regional coalitions and legislative policy groups, local committees and advisory boards, and then the local retirement system boards, and an education board that is for the Healthcare Advisory Committee. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I'd be happy to provide more detail as you request and answer any questions.
Okay. Supervisor Christensen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Menlove. So you're making me a primary in two places. Is there a pay increase involved with that, or?
In January of 2025, yes,
Really?
yes.
I look forward to it. Thank you.
The legislature in this last session did approve a salary adjustment. These elected officials for counties' salaries had remained the same since 2008.
I actually thought that started in 2024.
It's, well, the election is in 2024, so it's those that go into office January 1st, 2025.
Are you correct? 2023 is the election.
No, for midterm.
Well, 22 is election for the midterm.
Oh, yeah.
2024 is the election, and
Oh,
then
I
you're
see.
put into the office on the odd year.
Okay, bummer. Thanks.
It's whenever all of the board will be up for election in 2024 with the presidential election. So the August primary, November general election, go into office, presidents put into office in January of 25, same with board members and all other elected officials, most all other elected officials, except some that are in the court system. But most all other elected officials are put in to the office, sworn into office January 1st or very soon thereafter of 2025.
Thank
However-
you. Thank you very much for going that far down the road.
Sure.
But backing up just a little bit, do you have any other questions other than when and how pay is going to happen down the road?
No.
As far as your obligations in some of these boards go?
I do not. Thank you.
Okay. Supervisor Klein, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't have any questions. I guess we've been here long enough to know the drill on a lot of these meetings and things. One thing that I've neglected myself on some of these is bringing them back to the board for updates. That LPC group part of it right there is a big deal, and so I'll try and do better on some of these as far as getting back to all of us on it.
Yeah, I'm same as you. I've been lacking a little bit because of all the fires and floods and things. Some of these extracurricular meetings don't get as much of my attention as I'd like to give them, but that's a horse of a different color too. So if there's no further questions or comments, I will call for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to appoint members of the Board of Supervisors to local, regional, or national boards, committees, and organizations for 2022 to represent the Gila County's interests per the list presented by the county manager.
And Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Having a motion, a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Items were approved unanimously. Moving on to 3, consent agenda items. Any matter on the consent agenda will be removed from the consent agenda and discussed and voted upon as a regular agenda item upon the request of any member of the Board of Supervisors. Does either one of you care to remove anything from the consent agenda item and discuss it as a regular agenda item?
No, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's discuss item number F, and I'm glad our guys are here today. So,
Okay, then we are going to pull consent agenda item 3F
yes, sir.
from the consent agenda item and discuss it as a regular agenda item. So we will do
we need to vote on that? We're good?
So we will do that now, I guess. So back to regular agenda item 3F.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
hang on just a second. So I'm glad you guys are here. Besides being able to visit with you, it's really good. So in here, the agenda item is for $60,000, I believe is what it is. what I want to discuss, and I don't know, maybe this is something to table for a work session or another agenda. I don't know. I'm willing to take whatever thoughts you guys have on this. What I'd like to do is be able to talk with these guys on what they've done for the last, year, I guess you've been with us now? And how's it going? What kind of changes or whatever it is? To see, I know that each of us have talked with you guys individually at one point or another, but as far as what we have as far as projects, the directions we're going, the issues we're having, things like that. And to be quite frank, I want to make sure our $60,000 is where it needs to be. I mean, I'm throwing that out on the table. And so I don't know, James, if this is something you would rather put into another agenda topic and prepare for it better, or a work session or whatever.
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Klein, I'd certainly give Mr. Bowman or Mr. Jacobs opportunity, Mr. Scott, an opportunity to answer questions if you have them now. And I think that they would be able to respond.
Okay, and if not, just that's fine too, because I know unless you're on the agenda coming up, it's hard to prepare for something like this when we pull it. So I'm good with that if you guys are good. Are you?
I have a question for Marion real quick. Being that we pulled it off the consent agenda item and put it on the regular agenda, so do we require an action on that now that it's an agenda item?
Yes, sir.
So the action can either be to accept or to table.
Well, you can take any
Okay,
action on
okay.
one item and then.
Okay, and they're welcome to speak, being they were on the agenda even though they're not named. Okay, good. Yes, no, just making sure everything was clear. If one of you gentlemen would care to come up and take the mic and.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
if it would be better, we could move this to January 4th.
I'm good either way,
but-
personally, but.
But we would
Whichever you
need,
prefer.
but we can still discuss it today and maybe take an action if board feels comfortable. If don't, then we can take an action on the 4th after we've had some communication. Please.
Great. Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Supervisors. My name is Todd Bellman with Policy Development Group. I have Andy Jacobs.
Hold on just a second. Can you hear him? Can you move the mic up or
Yeah, is that better?
something? Yeah, sometimes it works better to set it up top
Okay.
for you tall guys or whatever, but they need to hear you.
Okay, is that better? I'll speak
Yeah,
into the mic
she's
a
the
little
one that's
more.
going to give you the green light.
Okay.
Because I
Thank
can't
you.
hear you anyway.
Okay, great. Well, my name is Todd Bowman with Policy Development Group, and I have Andy Jacobs here as well. It's a pleasure to be back before you again. Happy to answer any questions you have today. Happy to talk about what we've done this past year and what we anticipate coming forward. I know our contract is up as of January 5th, and the new session for the legislative session starts that second Monday of January. So our hope would be to go into another session, kind of guns a-blazing with you all, working on projects. We have a meeting here in a few minutes, I know, with some legislators as well that are coming up to headquarters here to talk about what we hope to do next year. We've worked closely with your county manager to talk about projects that are important to you that we would like to see funded next year. Those are projects, obviously, there's no shortage of projects that you all have, and we would like to kind of prioritize those and triage those with not only staff here, but also the elected officials who are ultimately going to be the ones pushing for those. Our state does plan, thankfully and gratefully, the state of Arizona, the revenues are good. And so we would anticipate being pretty aggressive next year and what we would ask for, hoping to see some of those funds come to Gila County. So that's our anticipation. Happy to recap. I know a month or so ago we did a recap on what the legislative session looked like this past year. I think one of the things that I'm most proud of being able to represent Gila County down at the state capitol is unfortunately the special session that we had to have because of the fires and the funds that came to Gila County, and working with Michael O'Driscoll on that and the over $4 million that Gila County was able to put into use quickly. And frankly, we're a little hesitant on the bureaucracy that might have got hung up in, but that was able to get dispersed quickly. So happy to answer any questions you have now. Happy to come back on January 4th if that's better, or whatever you all prefer.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
You may, Supervisor Klein.
So Todd, I appreciate it. And this is the information that I wanted to get out there. We have people on YouTube today. We have other folks who are watching whatever, other places. So this is information that I want out to them. When we approve contracts, so I know there's people that sit back and think, well, what do we really get out of a $50,000, $60,000, $100,000 contract? And that's why I wanted to discuss all this with you guys as well, so that people get a chance to hear it besides us. I know you worked on the fire stuff with us on that, and that was a huge help. That $100 million that got kicked out through the governor, what it meant to Gila County was a lot to the residences that were involved, and it's not over. One thing we're all faced with is that particular pot of money was a one-time shot. So what's going to come next? The flooding we know that, and quite possibly more fires. So the work you guys do there for the money that we put in and what it helped our people is huge. And these are the things that I want out there so people understand it and they hear it. Whether there's other bills or whatever you guys have worked on. I think that's good that we get that. And I don't know, James, are you set up with these guys? It comes through you, and then you're going to report to the board on their progress? How?
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Klein, yes, that should be the process. I have not been as detailed as I should. We've set up monthly meetings with Mr. Bowman, Mr. Jacobs, and so we're communicating regularly, making sure that we're heading the same path, same direction. But I've based on our meetings, should be reporting that and have not.
Yeah. So that's something maybe going forward we can improve on and get out there. It isn't, but like I said, it isn't just for us three that are sitting here. It's for all the people that are out there listening that haven't got a clue as to really what you guys have done and what you're doing. And so that's the information that I want to get out of you guys. Also, it would be good somewhere along the line to be able to sit down and listen to the priorities that we've all established. I can tell you what's important to me, but I can't sit down with my other two colleagues and discuss it. You know what I'm saying? So to have that in a setting where we can all be on the same page to know what's going on would be a big help for me in particular. So.
Thank you very much, Supervisor Klein. Supervisor Christensen, while it's up for discussion, do you have some?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Bowman. We've met on many occasions, and I think the contribution to the DEMA and the DFFM was really a huge thing, as Supervisor Klein mentioned. We've received, we voted on something today where we received another $310,000. So it's been a great help financially to Gila County. I think your services are well spent. Thank you.
Thank you.
While you're up, and I'll discuss this with you later too, but also as well, you said to, reach for the funding that, will help Gila County, and we really appreciate all the help, people reaching for funding. But we have some policies that are burdening Gila County, especially with properties and things of that nature, that have nothing to do with funding, but policies for property and trailers and things of that nature that were run through the legislature years ago, and that's creating burdens for counties at this point. And so some of those need to be changed. It's not a matter of funding; it's a matter of property issues as far as trailers and things go, and entitlements on the trailers and how they're connected to the property. So it's not only funding, which we appreciate you helping with that as well, but it's a legislature that needs to change to help these counties function better as well. And so I don't know if the board would care after this to ask more questions, to chair this until a later date, or to go ahead with a motion. Supervisor Klein, you were the one that asked it to be brought off. Are you comfortable with going
Yeah, I am.
with a motion at this point? It was
Yeah.
more for an informational deal
Yeah,
rather than a question.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, when I go through
Okay.
consent agenda items on this,
Great.
this is what I'm looking for.
Good.
You know, because the people on YouTube, they're not reading this. They don't have it, you know, and so those are the kind of things. It's not necessarily the cost of the money. It might be a $10,000 deal on here, but it's information for our constituents to see, and that's important to me to be able to provide that opportunity, whether or not they're there or not, I don't know, but
good.
But yeah, I'm good to go with the
Then
motion when you're ready.
I'll call for a motion on the consent action item that was removed and put on the regular agenda 3F. I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to approve amendment number 1 to professional services contract number 072120 with Policy Development Group to extend the term of the contract for 1 additional year from January 5th, 2022 through January 4th, 2023 in a not to exceed amount of $60,000 for professional lobbyist services.
And I will second that.
Having a motion, a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Thank you. Items were approved.
Thank you.
Item was approved unanimously. Thank you very much. And so now I will go forward and call for a motion to accept consent agenda items A through E and G through R. With the exception of F.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I so move that we accept the consent agenda items 3A through 3R with the exception of 3F, which was removed.
I'll second that.
Having a motion, a second, all in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye. Consent agenda items were accepted. Now we will go to 4. Call to the public. Do we have any public in Payson that cares to address the board this morning?
No, sir, we do not.
And I have no paperwork from anyone here. So I will continue on to number 5. At any time during this meeting pursuant to ARS 38-431.02K, members of the Board of Supervisors and the County Manager may present a brief summary of current events. No action may be taken on information presented. Mr. Minlove, would you care to go first?
Yes, just a quick reminder that this Thursday is the County Supervisors Association December meeting. All supervisors are invited either to attend in person or virtually, and they do have a luncheon after this meeting, and so we need to respond probably at least by today to let them know if we're going to be attending in person so that appropriate amount of food can be delivered and obtained.
Thank you.
And second thing, I want to wish all of Gila County, all of our employees and everybody a happy holiday season and safe holiday season. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Supervisor Christensen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wanted to make a note that December 10th, which is Friday, will be the 1-year anniversary of the passing of Supervisor Klein Martin. And that's a significant date, and I think we should remember that. Also, today is a significant date in history. December 7th happens to be the 80th anniversary of the bombing of Pearl Harbor. So I think that's important that we remember those things, that the people that have fought for our freedom then and continue to now. I went to actually a veterans benefit movie, and it was The Midway. Had every actor that was an actor in that movie, and was really good. And so it was good to be with the veterans on this last Saturday. Saturday night, though, I was in the Electric Light Parade there in Payson. I want to thank the board, all those involved with DiscoverGila.com. That's what the theme was, and especially want to thank Cameron Davis and Mac Feeser because they completely built just magnanimous thing on my truck with TVs and all kinds of things. And Cameron took a lot of video of that. I think we're going to be seeing some of that at the Game and Fish presentation. And Mary Springer, who has ducked out, was also part of helping us on that project, along with my kids and other people that we were handing out a bunch of stuff. So that was a great deal. And yesterday I visited the Ranger District site in Young, Pleasant Valley. Thank you, Supervisor Klein and Kathy, for hosting that and being there. It's really a truly special place. It's really great, over 200 acres. And I think Woody and Kathy, even though they may say we don't care for the notice, it is through their efforts especially that we have that, and it is part of our future. We're going to receive that property at some point permanently, and I really want to thank them both for doing that. If it wasn't for them, I don't think we'd be where we are with that. It's been years in the process. So it's coming to fruition. Also, I want to mention that I spoke with one of our Payson Council ladies, Susie Tubbs, who has been working with community development there in Payson, and she made a special case of expressing to me that it was a wonderful experience dealing with the county and our community development. I expressed that with Randy this morning. So everyone involved with that, and I know I could start naming off names. You know who you are. She actually said it'd be great if the town could go and train under the county, because she said it really was great. And she actually mentioned Connie, who is one of our people up there, as being exceptional. So I think it's important that we don't always just indicate when someone's complaining about something, but that we also say, you know, it's okay to say we're doing a great job and pat each other on the back when we are. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Supervisor Klein.
Good job, Steve. Thanks for all that. So mine's pretty short. First off, before I forget it, this Friday, Gila County Cattle Growers are having their annual dinner Friday night at the casino out here at San Carlos. And so if anybody's interested in going, you can pick up tickets at the local chamber down here in Globe. They'll have it. Throw that out there. Also, got word from Supervisor Kavanaugh in Pinal County, a little bit of news. They're working on bringing broadband into Kearney down there from, they'll go up Route 79, coming off of 177, for a high-speed, affordable internet to the Copper Corridor community. So I wanted to throw that out there. Also, he said that they're looking at possibly paving the Florence-Kevlin Highway for purposes of emergency exit, emergency for corridor use. So I want to throw that out there. So our neighbors are pretty busy down in that corner as well. It's really good to see. It'll be a big help for everybody involved. So other than that, I wanted to say the same thing. Wish everybody happy holidays. Christmas is right around the corner. I'm sure after the first year, we're going to have our heads down and be really busy. So I hope everybody has a real wonderful holiday. That's it, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. I was on Kiko Radio on the 2nd, and we'll be again on the 9th and the 16th. And at Kiko, that's at like 9:40. So if there's anybody out there listening that would like me to bring any information to those radio stations, I'd be happy to. I'll also be on KQSS on December 14th, and that's at 5:30 in the evening. And tonight I'll hold a Tonto Basin Community public meeting. So you're welcome. That's an open public meeting with no agenda. Just come and address me, and we'll go from where we go. And so I'd like to thank everybody for their participation in the meeting today. Thank everybody on YouTube. How many participants did we have today?
At the highest, we had 12.
We had 12. Okay. Well, thank you all for joining us, and I will adjourn today's meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.